Using AI as a responsible research partner in DBA scholarship. At the DBA level, research represents a fundamental shift in identity. You are no longer primarily a student consuming knowledge. You are becoming a scholar who contributes to it. That contribution must be original, defensible, transparent, and grounded in both theory and evidence. Artificial intelligence now sits inside that research ecosystem, and ignoring it would be naive, but embracing it without guardrails would be reckless. The goal of this lecture is neither to promote AI use blindly, nor to prohibit it out of fear. The goal is to establish how doctoral researchers can use AI in ways that strengthen their scholarship without undermining credibility, authorship, or ethical standards. Framing the role of AI in doctoral research. AI tools are already embedded in how research is conducted across disciplines. Editors know this. Reviewers know this. Dissertation committees know this. What they are evaluating is not whether AI was used, but whether the scholar understands their research deeply, whether the reasoning is original, and whether the use of AI is transparent and defensible. At the DBA level, AI should reduce friction, not replace thinking. Used well, AI helps you spend more time on theory integration, model justification, interpretation of findings, and scholarly positioning. Used poorly, it erodes trust and undermines everything your credential is meant to represent. Drawing bright ethical lines. It is essential to draw bright ethical lines early before the pressures of deadlines and word counts create temptation. AI is not acceptable for writing dissertation chapters, drafting journal manuscripts for submission, generating theory or hypotheses, or creating citations you have not personally verified. These activities represent the core intellectual contribution that makes you a scholar. Outsourcing them means you are not actually conducting doctoral research. You are merely submitting it. AI is appropriate for discovering relevant literature, understanding complex methods, and organizing ideas and arguments. These are research support activities that have always involved assistance, whether from librarians, methodologists, or colleagues. A simple test applies. If you cannot explain and defend the output without the AI present, it does not belong in your work. Evidence-based literature discovery consensus. One of the most common doctoral challenges sounds deceptively simple. Does the literature actually support the relationship I am proposing? Too often, researchers assume support exists, build entire studies on that assumption, and only discover during committee review that the foundation was shaky. The AI tool Consensus addresses this challenge directly. It allows you to ask empirical questions and receive responses grounded in peer-reviewed studies. This is particularly valuable when justifying mediation paths, evaluating moderation claims, and avoiding unsupported theoretical leaps that reviewers will inevitably catch. However, while Consensus helps you locate evidence quickly, it does not replace careful reading. Every article it surfaces must still be read in full, evaluated critically, and cited accurately. The tool accelerates discovery, it does not substitute for scholarship. Mapping research streams, Research Rabbit. Doctoral research is not just about individual studies. It is about understanding how ideas develop across time. Who built on whom, where the field diverged, which assumptions persisted, and which were abandoned. Without this awareness, you risk reinventing work that already exists or missing connections that would strengthen your contribution. The AI tool Research Rabbit helps you visualize foundational articles, citation networks, and emerging substreams within your research area. For DBA students who need to position applied research within theoretical traditions, this visibility is invaluable. Strong dissertations and journal articles demonstrate awareness of the intellectual lineage behind a topic, and Research Rabbit helps you see that lineage more clearly. Understanding published research, size space. Advanced empirical papers can be difficult to parse efficiently, especially when you are working across disciplines or encountering unfamiliar methodological traditions. DBA researchers often bridge practitioner and academic traditions, which means engaging with scholarship written for audiences with different assumptions and vocabulary. The AI tool SciSpace supports comprehension by allowing you to ask clarifying questions about models, interpret statistical reporting, and understand methodological decisions without spending hours decoding notation. This kind of support has always been available through advisors and methodologists. AI simply makes it more accessible. The critical caveat: SciSpace is a support tool, not an authority. You must always return to the original article, verify interpretations, and cite the primary source. The tool helps you understand. It does not understand for you. Closed source literature synthesis, Notebook LM. The AI tool, Notebook LM, enters the research process at a more advanced cognitive level than the tools discussed so far. Unlike other AI tools, it does not search externally. It works only with the sources you intentionally upload, and this constraint makes it uniquely appropriate for doctoral research. Once you have identified your core literature, your task shifts from discovery to integration. Notebook LM supports that shift by helping you compare construct definitions across studies, identify recurring theoretical assumptions, surface tensions and contradictions, and clarify how prior studies justify causal logic. These are exactly the intellectual moves that define a strong literature review. The key distinction is this: Notebook LM should be used for sense-making, not sentence-making. Appropriate uses include asking how multiple authors conceptualize the same construct, comparing justifications for mediation or moderation, and clarifying how theory is operationalized differently across studies. It does not introduce new sources. It does not fabricate citations. It does not write your manuscript. Because of this, it is easier to defend ethically than tools that generate original text. What you gain is clarity of thought. You still write every word. You still make every argument. Structuring research ideas, thesis AI. Once synthesis is complete, structure becomes the next challenge. Many doctoral projects struggle not because of weak data, but because arguments are misaligned, scope is unclear, or theory, methods, and hypotheses drift in different directions. These structural problems often remain invisible to the researcher until an outside reader points them out. The AI tool Thesis AI can help diagnose these issues by highlighting logical gaps, structural inconsistencies, and misalignment across sections. This kind of diagnostic feedback is useful for dissertation proposals, conference papers, and journal manuscripts alike. The ethical boundary remains firm. AI-generated text must never be submitted. Use this tool to see structure, then rewrite everything in your own scholarly voice. The tool reveals problems. You solve them. Academic writing feedback, Thesify. The AI tool Thesify functions like an early-stage reviewer, providing feedback on argument clarity, logical flow, evidence integration, and scholarly tone. This mirrors how experienced researchers refine manuscripts through iterative feedback cycles that sharpen thinking before formal review. The ethical distinction is important. Feedback informs revision. It does not replace authorship. When a colleague reads your draft and says this section feels disconnected, you do not credit them as co-author. AI feedback operates similarly. You're expected to interpret suggestions critically and revise independently, incorporating insights that strengthen your argument while rejecting those that do not fit your scholarly vision. Ethical disclosure and transparency. Any use of AI must be disclosed. This is not optional, and it is not a burden. It is a form of scholarly protection. Transparent disclosure demonstrates integrity and preempts questions that might otherwise cast doubt on your work. A simple disclosure statement is sufficient as long as it is honest. For example, artificial intelligence tools were used for literature discovery, conceptual clarification, and comprehension of published research. All theoretical development, data analysis, interpretation, and manuscript writing were conducted independently by the author. AI tools were not used to generate manuscript text, analyze data, or fabricate references. This level of transparency aligns with dissertation expectations, conference review norms, and journal editorial policies. It positions you as a researcher who uses modern tools responsibly, rather than one who might be hiding something. Closing perspective. AI is now part of the doctoral research landscape. This is not a prediction, it is a description of current reality. Ignoring it puts you at a disadvantage relative to peers who have learned to use these tools effectively. Misusing it puts your credibility at risk and threatens the very credential you're working to earn. Used responsibly, AI enhances efficiency, improves clarity, and supports deeper thinking. It handles the mechanical, so you can focus on the meaningful. It accelerates the tedious, so you can invest in the transformative. But AI does not make you a scholar. Your reasoning does. Your judgment does. Your integrity does. Those are the qualities that define doctoral level research. And those are the qualities that no tool can provide for you. The tools are here. The choice of how to use them is yours.